Hello everyone, hope you're having a good new year. We are one day into the new year, I guess 2 days, January 2nd. Broader markets currently closed. They open tomorrow for the shortened holiday week, but we've got crypto in the green. Obviously the thumbnail talking about crypto being green on the year is a little bit poking fun at the weakness in the sector recently, but we are up on the year. So a little bit of a shift in the short term, as far as some bounces being underway in the cryptocurrency space. We're going to look at a bunch of coins here. And as always, we're going to start with the broader market, which is obviously critical with the short term, with what we're looking for in the cryptocurrency space. Because as we know, if we see fear and uncertainty with people putting money into Apple and Amazon and the S&P 500, there's going to be fear and uncertainty putting money into the cryptocurrency space, which is much higher risk and higher reward. But we're definitely seeing some shorts being forced to cover over the last 24 hours, most notably in Sol and in Litecoin. We're going to look at these charts in just a moment, but we'll start it off with the S&P 500 and the dollar. So I would suggest watching my videos on the S&P 500 and the broader market, which we put out every regular trading day after hours, Monday through Thursday. And I laid out most recently the bull thesis of what has to happen for the bulls to prove something to us here in Q1 2023. And for me, it's the S&P 500 2-week chart. And you're going to hear me talk about this 100 times over the next month. But it's extremely important because we are either going to confirm this inverse head and shoulders, break the CPI and FOMC highs, confirm the first 2-week uptrend since the all-time high. If this were to confirm, we would then be closer to the all-time high than we would be to the fear bottom, or we fail this pattern and we head back to new fear lows. And again, it's a very different psychological feel in markets when you have a base of support and you're off of the lows versus hitting fresh lows. Because as soon as you hit fresh lows, it's then the mindset of, uh-oh, how much are we about to drop? Are we going to see another 10% to the downside from here? And obviously, if you're holding those lows, we're not going to see another 10% to the downside unless those lows break. It's almost like a little bit of a safety net. You know, you're up on a high wire, you've got the safety net versus being on the high wire with no safety net when you're at fresh fear lows. So what I need to see, as I've mentioned in the video, and again, check out our YouTube channel, the most recent broader market video that I put out, we have to see the tech names, Amazon, Apple, big tech, have to shift some momentum if we're going to see this shape up. If it does shape up, then I'm going to be looking for the cryptocurrency space to follow suit. And I'm going to be looking for Bitcoin to be up around 20,000, the low 20,000s, and altcoins will respond as well. And of course, if we don't, and we drop to the fresh fear lows, then the probabilities increase significantly that Bitcoin can break the 15.5 thousand base of support that we currently have. The dollar just traded sideways for 2 weeks and then dropped to fresh lows. That's a good sign for crypto bulls. It's a good sign for equity bulls. And we're going to continue to watch this daily EMA 12 resistance, which has been an extremely clear guide for almost 2 months at this point, over 2 months, just about 2 months. And that's going to continue to be a top watch for us to start this year as well. As far as crypto stocks, we know they've been even more beat up than cryptocurrency itself. MARA trying to get a little bit of a bounce going to end last week. Coin coming off the all-time low, getting a bit of a bounce going. We'll keep an eye on those as well. Just not as a major factor, but just a little bit of a little data point that we want to be keeping our eye on for that. So, Bitcoin. Bitcoin, we were watching this yesterday. The 4-hour was a nice tightening range here. It was an attempt at a 4-hour inverse head and shoulders that failed initially. We had the left shoulder, the head. We had a double top with the neckline here. And this was a failure of the right shoulder. And then we formed a higher low on a longer term time frame and then confirmed. So it is a 12-hour uptrend at this point. You can see that little higher low and higher high. And so we're zoomed out on the daily time frame, and what matters the most to us at this point is our daily resistances. We can say anything under 17,000 is just a daily low or high, and the bulls would not prove a thing to us if we don't get over that level. And so there's a possible scenario where if we head up towards that resistance and fail, we then look for a daily higher low to try and form. Essentially, it would be the same kind of potential inverse head and shoulders that we just saw on the 4-hour but this would be on the daily time frame. If we fail 17,000, then we have to form that higher low and higher high. But it's all about 17,000 here in the short term. Right behind 17 is $17,060. So we might as well call it that. That's the level it needs to break. If that level does break, we get to the highest price that we've seen in almost 3 weeks. And if it doesn't, then the daily downtrend remains intact and the bears have absolutely nothing to worry about. And again, whenever I'm looking at these charts, I'm putting myself, even though I don't have access to trade cryptocurrency bearish in the US here on any trusted exchanges, I put myself in a bear mindset and say, okay, what would it take for me to want to close out my bearish positions? And of course, the step number one would be seeing the bulls break the daily downtrend. So if we don't break 17,000, the bears don't have a thing to worry about. If we do break 17,000, we then zoom out and we watch our weekly resistance, knowing that we have not confirmed a weekly uptrend in 8 months, and knowing that if we do break 18.4, it would be a notable shift for the first time in 8 months, as far as bulls finally proving something on a longer term time frame. So all about 17,000 in the short term. We have to confirm the daily uptrend with a higher low and higher high once we eventually top out. And we're looking at the 4-hour uptrend as well. And we're saying, okay, if we lose these 4-hour higher lows, then the probability of daily consolidation would increase fairly significantly. So bulls want to maintain the 4-hour uptrend into a break of 17,000 before losing that 4-hour uptrend, because that would show us that bulls are keeping this short-term momentum. We also, with the S&P 500 here, as we head into futures open tonight, again with the holiday, it's a 12-hour equilibrium where we had a high, low, lower high, higher low, lower high, and then a strong close up near the high of the day on Friday. It wasn't a strong day because we were red most of the day. It was just a strong close up at the high. But again, if the futures open and the S&P 500 breaks this equilibrium bull, we're going to start the week on a little bit of a bullish note, which could help the Bitcoin bulls break this downtrend and set the weekly higher low. So that's the bigger picture of where we are set here for the first week or two to start this year. And now let's zoom in on our altcoins and see who's standing out stronger, who's standing out weaker, and a look at those examples of shorts being forced to cover in Sol and Litecoin that I was talking about. So dominance chart for Bitcoin, watching for the potential of weekly consolidation here. And this is a rising wedge, just in the sense that the bull break lacks follow through. So if we were to drop down now and break 41.77, then we would zoom out and weekly consolidation would be underway. And if I'm a cryptocurrency bull, I want to see this happen. I want to see altcoins leading the way up with a bit of confidence. There's two ways that I have the most confidence in the cryptocurrency bulls. It's when altcoins lead and Bitcoin follows, or it's when Bitcoin leads and then trades sideways and then altcoins follow. But in this instance, we are seeing some altcoins. Litecoin is much stronger than Bitcoin over the last month or so. And so one of the benefits of that is obviously more significant opportunity for bulls in these coins that are moving a more significant percentage. Bitcoin at this point, Bitcoin's been going up for a few days, but in the end, from the low of 3 days ago, Bitcoin right now is up 2.5%. So I look at that and say, I'm not missing anything by not being in Bitcoin right now. But if you look at Sol and Litecoin and they're up double-digit percentage, okay, then there's something there that is opportunity that we're keeping an eye on. And as I mentioned in the past, I haven't been trading crypto very much at all over the last couple of months, but I will jump back on probably if there was something to happen where I would say, okay, that's a notable shift. I do want some cryptocurrency bull exposure. I would probably just jump right back on Coinbase. And the reason I took my funds off Coinbase was, again, the risk after the FTX and not knowing how much contagion there was going to be and thinking, Coinbase probably has a 1 to 2% chance of being in any kind of trouble here, but it's still not worth it for me to keep my funds on there. So definitely going to be looking for an alternative to Coinbase eventually. I don't think it's going to be Fidelity for now, just because Fidelity is just Bitcoin and Ethereum. And again, I would want some access to these other coins that have greater percentage moves. So Ethereum is still range bound on the daily as well. And we are looking up at resistance of 1234 and 1239. So the bulls need to break 1239 to get to the highest level in almost 3 weeks. And that would set the weekly higher low If the bulls could pull that off, you can see we pretty much have multiple weekly inside bars in a row. But if we get the bull break of that daily short-term resistance, our weekly higher low is set, and we then set our sights back on weekly EMA 12 resistance, but more importantly, 1352 resistance to try and confirm the first weekly uptrend in a long time. ETH BTC, again, this tightening range, the way I'm viewing this is our high, low, we topped out on a bounce here, higher low, double top, higher low, and we haven't set the lower high yet because this is still a stair-step pattern where you have a higher low every single candle. But anything under 7-6 is a lower high on this time frame. And so watching for the possibility that we do see a little bit more upside, but if we fail 7-6, then we could continue tightening within this range for another couple of weeks at least. And again, as I keep stressing, it's fallen to the wayside just because we're getting tighter and tighter, but cannot stress enough how important this will be when we do break from this sideways range, because we do not often see this pairing get this tight. And when the pairing has gotten this tight in the past, when we eventually break, it's a significant marker of total cryptocurrency volatility. So this is telling me that the cryptocurrency space is likely to see some volatility here, whether it's a bull break of volatility and Bitcoin heads up to the low 20,000s or a bear break of volatility for fresh lows. That remains to be seen, but this helps us to know, okay, volatility is coming very shortly. And I'm not ready to say that just yet because, again, as I just mentioned, we can tighten within this range for another couple of weeks. But this is something that you want to check every day. And I only need to check it once a day because it's not moving significantly, but it is something that I am checking once a day. So Litecoin, very impressive follow through here. So Litecoin on the weekly perspective is in a weekly higher low. It's already been set 2 weeks ago, and we are well off the fear lows. I mean, right now, Litecoin, if we were going to see new fear lows under $40,000 or $40, would have to drop 46%. And we know for Bitcoin to see new fear lows, we have to drop 7.5%. That's a very big difference. And you can point to Litecoin happening sooner as a fundamental reason that we're seeing this relative strength. And we saw it on the LTC-BTC pairing. The first time, again, same thing. The first time we saw a weekly uptrend in a significantly long time, this going back to years rather than just, Bitcoin's 8 months. But the first time we saw that weekly uptrend was a notable longer term momentum shift. And so we're watching our weekly higher low set here. And as I mentioned in the past, the worst case scenario for the bulls would be confirming a downtrend. But at this point, we could say the Litecoin bulls are positioned well if Bitcoin is able to see any upside from here. So there's a lot of ifs. If the S&P 500 gives us a 2-week higher low, if Bitcoin breaks the daily downtrend, sets the weekly higher low, if Bitcoin confirms its first weekly uptrend in over 8 months, Litecoin bulls are positioned really well for that. If you forced me to be in a long position at this point, Litecoin's definitely at the top of the list. There are not many coins out there that have both their US dollar and Bitcoin pairings in weekly uptrends right now. And so there was a little bit of a bull signal, just a little clue. And again, a clue can do two things. A clue can help you make money, and a clue can help you save money as well, depending on, how significant that little bit of information is to you. So you could look at Litecoin BTC breaking daily resistance here to a higher high. When did that happen? That happened back here on December 31st, 8 a.m.? 8 a.m. And we look at Litecoin USD, and we didn't break that resistance on this pairing until just this morning. And so 2 days in advance, the BTC pairing breaks bull. Now, in a bull market, that is a long signal for me. In a bear market, that is a don't short this name signal for me. And so that's the difference of, again, a signal when the market environment and the long-term trends go in line with the signal, that's a signal that helps you make money. And a signal that is counter longer-term trends, maybe it just helps you save money by saying, I'm not going to short Litecoin off daily resistance because the BTC pairing already broke bull. And again, that is how these BTC pairings give us these little clues. They're not clues that are enough to solely act on, but it's just one of our major data points as we analyze and try and determine most likely scenarios. So Litecoin, this is a mini short squeeze, just in the sense that this is a 5-minute candle. And so we'll just look at these two candles here. A bull move, a bull move of 11% into 5-minute candles. That is shorts being forced to cover. It's a cascading effect where you get some longs buying at the ask, and then you get shorts being stopped out, and those shorts are then forced to buy at the ask as well. So that was a very notable move up. And so we look at the longer term here for Litecoin, and the daily uptrend is our guide now. Next time we consolidate on the daily, anything above 65.53 is a daily high or low. The bulls have a lot of space to work with. And the question from here is, can the Litecoin bulls maintain the daily uptrend long enough to break $85 and then keep the weekly uptrend going? We look right now, definitely some profit taking on that big upper wick spike. And you can see bears playing a little bit of defense on this most recent little spike up. This shows you also a lack of liquidity. You know, when these 5-minute candles are doing this, if you look at the amount of volume that it's taking on Coinbase, for example, to make the price move 1.8%, if you go back into the bull market, you would need much more dollar volume to see that kind of move. It is definitely showing you an aspect of a lack of liquidity as well. So bigger picture, we're going to be looking for Litecoin. 4-hour consolidation is now underway. We've also still got hourly EMA 12. We know bulls will keep control if hourly EMA 12 remains support. But we could be watching the 4-hour if you're most interested in the longer term time frames. And we can see that the bulls are riding up the 4-hour EMA 12 support. So that's the goal for the bulls, set a 4-hour high or low, keep this uptrend going. When we lose the 4-hour uptrend, it's the first indication to zoom out and scout daily consolidation. And then we would scout a daily high or low. BTC pairing, we're in the spotlight, which means it's correlated to the US dollar pairing. They're doing very similar things. Again, it's just the slight differences, one of them being the BTC pairing breaking bull in advance. So we're looking at 4-hour consolidation underway for the BTC pairing. We're going to scout the high or low as the result of this consolidation, and that weekly resistance is going to be key for both pairings here. We are either going to see weekly continuation if the crypto bulls prove something to us, but if Bitcoin remains weak, then it's possible we form a tightening weekly range here through January. So a lot's going to be dependent on Bitcoin. We can say Litecoin is holding up very well comparative to Bitcoin, but we know Bitcoin is going to matter. And we know the broader market, S&P 500, is going to matter for Bitcoin. So it's all connected on down the line. Sol with a big short squeeze. So we know Sol had maximum fear and FUD, whether it's warranted or not, depends on your opinions. But we know that we hit a volume climax with a flush down to $8, and now we've seen a 50% bounce. And these moves happen very quickly. This reminds me of 2017. In 2017, when you are in a position, due to the lack of liquidity, you set fishing orders. You set a bid way under the current price in case there's a long lower wick that fills the bid and shoots back up, and you set your sells. You know, I can remember entering Ethereum positions and setting my sells right after my entries much higher, not anticipating that they're likely to be hit, but seeing enough examples of a lack of liquidity with some market orders shooting the price up to tag that price and then drop back down fairly quickly. And this is a perfect example of that, where Sol, you even go to the 1-minute time frame. And so even if you're at the computer and actively trading, if you don't have an order set here, by the time you see that we just shot up 20% in 1 minute and you're trying to scramble to place your order, we're already down 6% from that top. So the lack of liquidity it makes it more advantageous to set some orders in advance, just in case you do see something like that, to be able to take advantage of it. Because again, it's extremely fast when that happens. And again, that's a short squeeze. The only way that you see a 20% 1-minute candle is, yes, some of it is market buying at the ask, but the majority of it is, in my opinion, shorts covering at the ask as well. So we now have enough space on Sol. We're still in a daily downtrend. There's still a ton of space for a daily lower high to form. I would call anything under 15 a daily lower high, but it's a big enough bounce that bulls will be scouting a daily higher low to be the result of next consolidation. And what an aggressive bull, an aggressive longer term swing trading mindset for a bull will be on this setup, it will be, this is the bottom for a while. And so if that's the case, then we will top out on this bounce wherever it's going to be. We'll pull back and set a higher low, and then we will confirm a daily trend change. And so an aggressive bull looking for a longer term trade here is going to try and make an entry on the daily higher low, perhaps scaling in a couple positions, and then using $8 as a stop. Because if $8 breaks, then clearly we don't have a bottom and an aggressive bull would be wrong. But if $8 holds, we can definitely set up the potential of a weekly bounce from here. So we've got a tightening range right now, little hourly time frame, and viewing this essentially as the high, low, lower high. Anything above 1088 is a higher low. If this tightening range were to break bear, we would zoom out and scout a 4-hour higher low to be the result of consolidation. You can see it's just inside bar, inside bar. This tells us more volatility is coming here today. Either today, sometime within the next 12 hours, this very tight range is going to break, either heading us back up towards the high, where bears are going to try and top fish just like Litecoin. Look at what Litecoin just did. We hit that spike high. We made another attempt, and bears were ready for it to reject that price. So I would anticipate that if Sol does break this little sideways range bull, that bears will be top fishing against $12 to try and reject it, just like Litecoin. And if we break it bear, we're going to look for a 4-hour higher low compared to EMA 12. And it's the same thing. If we lose the 4-hour uptrend, we zoom out and we scout for daily consolidation and an eventual daily higher low. And then from there, the bulls have to confirm the first daily uptrend. When's the last time we saw a clear daily higher low and higher high? It's been a very long time. Back here, up to 38. That was a higher low and higher high. Since then, yes, we broke resistance here, but it was coming off of a low. So it's not a higher low and higher high, confirming the daily uptrend. And so for the first week or two of January, that's the big question for Sol. Can we confirm the first daily uptrend in over a month, almost 2 months, and get our attention for a potential longer term shift? Again, we will just be zooming out and scouting a weekly lower high, and we will be watching weekly EMA 12, which has been resistance at this point for 8 months. But a temporary fear climax bottom is trying to form here. And Sol BTC is doing the same thing. Not a whole lot of information here. Just have to ensure that if you are looking bullish, that the BTC pairing confirms a daily uptrend with the US dollar pairing as well. There are many times where I look at the BTC pairings compared to the US dollar pairings, and I don't get any additional information. That's probably the majority of the time, but it's still worth checking every single time because sometimes you get those clues. And yeah. So Binance, sideways. We headed down, we rejected from resistance. This is the 12-hour time frame now. So we headed up over the weekend towards resistance, 249, and we rejected by $1, less than $1. We then dropped back down, and we headed towards support. And we have a little support zone here between 240 and 241. We broke one level, we held the other, and now we're back testing resistance. So we're getting a little bit choppy, but we're sideways. We're extremely range bound. And again, if you look at Binance and say, when is the last time that we've had a 10-day trading range? Is it 12 now? 3, 6, 9, 12-day trading range, less than 4%. I don't know when you're going to find that. This is the tightest that I can remember. It'll be the bear market in 2019, 2020, 2020. That's the last time that Binance has been this tight. We know volatility is coming here. If it's a bull break, we will zoom out. We'll scout the weekly lower high, anything under 318. And if it is a bear break, then we're going to look down at the low of 220. And it's the same thing as Sol in the sense that it's attempting to put in a fear climax bottom. We know Binance had a wave of fear, whether it was warranted or not, that's personal opinion, but there was a wave of fear in Binance after FTX. And so the bulls are hoping that this is that fear bottom being set. And a bigger picture, the bulls are hoping that that's a monthly new support trying to hold the fear low. We're well above the fear low at this point. We would need a 25% drop to get to the lowest level of consolidation. So bulls have some cushion to work with. Can they recover from that fear flush? Referring to the most recent fear flush, not the original crypto sector as a whole fear flush. Binance BTC, are there any clues? A little bit. So what's the clue here? Well, Binance headed down and we broke support of 241.40. Granted, there was no follow through. We broke it by 70 cents, but we broke the low of December 25th. Did the BTC pairing break the low of December 25th? We didn't come close. So that is showing us relative strength in the BTC pairing, which again could do two things. It could prevent you from shorting Binance, saying, man, I'm not getting the ideal signal that I want, which is both pairings dropping together or the BTC pairing dropping faster and harder. Or if you are an aggressive bull, which again is very hard to be in this current market environment, but if you were an aggressive bull, you could use that as a signal saying, okay, well, Binance BTC is holding daily support. So I think that this Binance US dollar bear move is going to lack follow through. And so now it's just tightening daily range with our low, high of the bounce, higher low, lower high. And this equilibrium on the BTC pairing is going to break sometime within the next couple of days. Along with the USDT pairing, which is going to break sometime in the next couple of days. Ape is standing out as a lead bull to me. And this was yesterday. Every weekend I do altcoin request threads in our Slack chat room. And one of them was Ape. And I looked at Ape and said, you know, Ape is starting to shape up here for the bulls. And again, it's always back to Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is always back to the S&P 500. But I can make the statement that Ape bulls are positioned real well if the Bitcoin bulls start to shift momentum. And so over the last 24 hours, we've seen that where Ape is following through in a big way. When did I make that video? Saturday, the 31st. So yeah, right before that big bull move took place, it was standing out stronger. And so we've got a clear big bull move up. Again, so, definitely a short squeeze here as well. Look at this 5-minute candle. A mini short squeeze for the 5-minute candle to be able to shoot up 6-7% in one candle. Lack of liquidity as well. But look at the bulls keeping control. So you can look at Ape and say, okay, we did something similar 2 days ago. Can Litecoin now do this? Can Sol now do this? And do this meaning, can we hold hourly EMA 12 to keep control of these gains versus a pump and dump giving it back? And if you're stair stepping up, setting these hourly higher lows, holding the ascending EMA 12, then you're keeping these gains. So Ape bulls are liking how we are trading post mini short squeeze. And so here's Litecoin. Can we hold hourly EMA 12? If not, we're going to get back a decent amount of that mini short squeeze bull move up. But if we hold that EMA 12, then we'll look to do something similar. Same thing with Sol. Just trade sideways, wait for the EMA 12 to catch up, and then ride it up a bit. And so Ape bulls are doing that. So it's a good example of Litecoin and Sol hope that their hourly charts, the bulls hope that their hourly charts look like Ape does now tomorrow. If Ape loses the hourly EMA 12 in the uptrend, we zoom out, we look for a 4-hour higher low. It's a 4-hour stair step pattern, meaning we've set a higher low every single candle for the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 candles. That's solid bull control. Lots of space for the 4-hour higher low. Where do we stand bigger picture? So daily time frame, we are at the highest level that we've seen in almost 3 weeks. Bitcoin needs to break $17,060 to see that same thing. So we're leading the way. The bull break is already taking place. Ape BTC, actually let's go to Ape USD weekly. So weekly higher low is set. The Bitcoin bulls are hoping to set a weekly higher low. Has not happened yet. So Ape, higher low on the weekly. And if we break 459, it will be the first weekly uptrend in the history of Ape on Binance. And I'm pretty sure that was when it first started trading. Correct me if I'm wrong. But that would be extremely notable. The first weekly uptrend ever for this coin with a clear higher low and higher high would be very notable for us if that were to happen. So we're watching very closely for that. We need the BTC pairing to do the same thing, which, again, zooming in, I don't see much difference. One difference. So this is what it was. I'm remembering the video from Saturday morning. What made Ape stand out to me is not just the fact that it was shaping up the weekly high or low, it was the fact that we were holding this support. Look at the monthly chart. The monthly chart for Ape BTC is trying for a monthly high or low. So I'm viewing this as we topped out, we set a monthly high or low, we set a monthly low or high, and we defended support. What did Ape USDT do on the monthly? We broke support. The BTC pairing gave a longer term clue. And again, because it's a clue on the monthly time frame, it may take days and days to play out or potentially weeks to play out. But again, it's just, you always, when you're looking at the BTC pairing comparative to the US dollar pairing, you always want it to flash in your head when there is notable differences. Sometimes the notable differences are on the hourly time frame. This is one of the first notable differences I've seen on the monthly time frame. So we broke support on USD, we held support on BTC. And so if Ape BTC breaks 333 here, this high, sometime in the next few months, it's going to be a very notable win for the bulls. Keep an eye on Ape. Now looking at our weaker coins. So we have, in my mind, I'm distinguishing two different groups of coins here where we've got our weaker names like ADA, Mana, and Sand in one group that are all bear and have been leading way to the downside, and fresh fear lows. They've been bearish for months and months and months, all year. And you've also got other lead bears like GMT and Waves and, of course, Sol. But the reason that I put GMT and Waves over here is I would have to double check. I haven't checked in months, but the volume and the liquidity. GMT, in my memory, has a lot more wicks that would stop you out but get no follow through. And it to my observation, it looks more difficult to trade. And so for me, I just set those off to the side as almost like, if this were the stock market, I would view Mana, ADA, and Sand as, low cap stocks, but I would be viewing GMT and Waves as penny stocks. And I'm sure market caps would reflect that. But again, I just haven't looked at them in a bunch of months. But in the past, that's why I distinguish them. But daily bounces are underway. One thing that's notable for me is we know Sand and Mana, their bull move to all-time highs was kicked off by Facebook, now Meta, and their virtual reality news. And it was very clearly there was a tie between the Facebook stock and the news out of the company and these coins. And so Meta right now is a lead bull for me in the stock world. It's a lead bull because it's up near its bounce high. So we're up close. We're 3-4% away from the highest level that we've seen in over 2 months. If I look at Meta divided by QQQ, which is essentially the same as, Mana divided by Bitcoin, because Mana divided by the key gauge for crypto, Bitcoin, and this is Meta, an individual company, divided by the key ETF of mostly the tech sector. And so Meta divided by QQQ is showing us that this is the strongest that Meta has been compared to QQQ in months. And it's also the first time that we've had a long-term uptrend. We've seen Meta weaken compared to all of its peers for a year, and that has now shifted. And so how does this relate to crypto? Well, this makes me a little bit more interested in Mana and Sand because, again, knowing that there's a relationship. There's not a tick-for-tick relationship. It's not, we're not looking at the hourly chart on Meta and watching the hourly chart on Mana, but it's sentiment. It's bigger picture sentiment and more to do with psychology and potentially fundamentals. But we're seeing that this is showing us that the stock market bulls are more trusting in Meta than they've been in over a year. And so I'm watching, does that translate into cryptocurrency bulls being a bit more trusting in these metaverse names than they've been in a year? And the answer is not yet. We don't have that information yet, but we're watching for it. So we'll look at ADA in just a moment, but Mana and Sand, daily bounce underway. why I'm watching this is essentially it's a bear flag confirming with no follow through. And so whenever I see a bear flag confirming with no follow through, I keep an eye out in the other direction. And still, there's a ton of work to be done where we have daily EMA 12 resistance, which we are not over. We have anything under 35 cents as a daily lower high. But I'm just watching bigger picture. Can these bulls shape up? Perhaps an inverse head and shoulders. Just a longer term shift to try and get a weekly bounce underway. And then we have to battle weekly EMA 12. Weekly EMA 12 has been resistance for 8 months. So again, there's nothing that is telling us with flashing signals, these names are about to bottom and reverse. But enough is having me watch for that. Mana BTC is not giving us any clues. You know, if Mana BTC breaks this daily resistance before the US dollar pairing does, that's going to stand out to me in a very notable way. But for now, there's no clues to be had. Again, it's one of the examples where there is no new information on the BTC pairing. It's doing the exact same thing as the US dollar pairing, but we're watching. This just tells me pay attention. Watch a little bit more for any possible clues that are showing us. Because again, you look back at Litecoin, and the Litecoin shift in momentum was marked by the BTC pairing making a longer term trend change for the first time in a very long time. And so we're watching for the same thing in these coins. And I've said this in the past. You know, I said this maybe 3-4 months ago and we didn't get the signal, but we're watching for it. We're not going to fall asleep on these coins is essentially what I'm saying. So Sand USDT, same thing, daily bounce underway, daily EMA 12, still an easy downtrend. And again, now I'm putting myself in the perspective of the bears and saying, all right, well, is this current bounce giving me any cause for concern? Am I looking to cover anything? And the answer is no. As long as we're in a daily downtrend, as long as there's daily EMA 12, nothing's changing here. So we're watching for signs that something changes, but long way to go for the bulls to change something here. 4-month time frame. For me, the most likely scenario, again, this is very long term, the most likely scenario is a higher low on the 4-month time frame. And so we're starting to watch for that now. So Mana, USDT, are we going to see all-time lows? It's possible, but I think the more likely scenario is a higher low compared to those all-time lows. Still no indication of a shift. We're just watching for it. ADA, same deal. Bear flag confirming straight into a bounce. Bears are looking a little exhausted to me. They've had full control for a long time, multiple months with nothing to worry about. Still nothing to worry about at this point. Watching for the shift. ADA BTC, no difference. Watching for the shift. So we'll keep an eye on these names over the next couple of weeks. And that's that. That's about all I got to talk about. All right, hope you had a good new year. Hope you've got some nice routines established for personal growth, whether it's related to trading or not. And if it's not related to trading, it's related to trading, meaning if you're looking to improve your health, if you're looking to be more disciplined, if you're looking to have more drive and motivation, all these things bleed into your trading. And so I highly suggest doing so. Working out, eating healthy, getting a good sleep schedule, all that good stuff. Appreciate you watching. Don't forget to do good things. Let's have a good start to 2023.